Fight Capital, where we step into the ring of combat sports business. I'm your host, Ryan Rappaport. Today, I'm joined by Jeremy Wong, the visionary co-founder and COO of FightGeek. If you're not familiar with FightGeek, they stand at the forefront of revolutionizing combat sports analytics. Jeremy brings a passion for bridging data and athleticism, and he's helped lead FightGeek's pioneering efforts in transforming how combat sports organizations access, analyze, and utilize performance statistics for their strategic growth. Jeremy, I know it's late for you. Thank you for being here. How are you and where are you joining from today?
Currently at home in Singapore, so I'm taking this call 12 hours ahead of you. Right.
Well, thank you. I know. And luckily, we've been able to chat before, so I'm not going into this totally green. But I always appreciate you with the late calls. I'd love for you just to talk a little bit about FightGeek's journey, because it was established in 2016. And how did you really kind of identify the need for the specialized research and data analytics in combat sports?
Okay. Well, my partner and I were talking about this a little bit earlier than 2016. So we began talking about it in about 2014 when we identified a gap in the market where we see only the industry leaders in combat sports who actually utilizes statistics to engage their fans. So there's the UFC in MMA, there's Top Rank in boxing, and there is perhaps only Glory Kickboxing as well. So I am a sports fan. My partner's a sports fan, and I'm a fight fan in particular, as you know. So I watch a lot of other promotions put on fights and shows, and I just don't see them, keeping up with what other major league sports are doing. Engaging their fans, communicating, the sports through statistics to the fans. So we thought that we could come in and try and do something about this. So that's how we kind of fell into the rabbit hole, so to speak.
Well, I mean, so you've been pioneering this, right? And introducing these advanced, maybe a little bit even deeper than what people have been doing before. But could you explain how your platform is data driven and how it's contributing to the growth of these organizations?
Yeah, well, we can't really take the honor of calling ourselves the pioneer. We were, I think, the first guys in Asia to do this, but there were others that came before us, and we have to give the credit to like the guys from CompuStrike. CompuBox has been around boxing for a long time, and Fight Metric has been doing it with the UFC in the early 2000s. So we saw what they were doing and we understood it, but a lot of what we were doing was more of like pushing the boundaries of where the data could go, right? And instead of just replicating and regurgitating what our predecessors have done, we went and took a look at how other major league sports were designing their data models so that they can describe the sport and analyze the sport in so many nuances of the sport for the fans, for the professionals. And so we wanted to do something similar to that. So I would say my partners and I, we took about a year to really just work with experts in the field to push the boundary of like, what other things can we quantify? And we came up with like all these other data points that are unique to our data model. So yeah, in that sense, right now on this journey, a lot of what we're trying to do is just to onboard more promotions to the fact that, this is the way that modern sports fans consume sports. I'll give you an example. Like, I'm also a huge NBA fan, right? So if I miss a game and I'm busy, right, I have work. So I don't necessarily have the time to go rewatch a replay. So I'll just go onto the NBA website and I'll take a look at the stats. And, I get the full picture of everything that happened in every quarter. I know exactly what happened, right? So this is the way that modern fans consume sports. And back in 2016, we were just surprised that not, that many promotions in combat sports was actually trying to engage their fans this way. So this journey for us has been a lot about just educating, sharing with promotions and our customers about the value of data, the extent of what they can do with the data, and how it's really an asset for their organization when they decide to collect and implement stats in their productions.
That's super interesting. And I know maybe what you guys are pioneering, though, is the emerging AI technology, right? And using that for like real time tracking and precision analysis for how these events and the athletes are being tracked. And can you just talk a little bit about how FightGeek leverages those technologies to provide insight? And also, if you want, I can even pull up the video too, and I can potentially have that on the screen while you're talking through it if you want to try to do that.
Well, actually, it's a very exciting time for us. I dare not claim that we are the pioneers of this. I know that there are competitors out there in different countries that are also doing this, utilizing computer vision, AI, to collect in-depth analysis and data sets for combat sports. But what I can say about our approach is that we, first and foremost, what matters to us most is what our customers want. So we adopt a multi-source approach in gathering the data. It doesn't matter if we're using sensors or if we're using heat mapping technologies, which we've dabbled in with third-party companies out there, or just manually collecting some data. So it all boils down to what our customers want. Because what's most important for us, it's not how fancy you go about getting the data. It's about having data that you can use that's appropriate for their business, right? So it all boils down to the appetite of the customers and how much are they willing to explore in terms of innovation, what kind of budgets are they working with, and apart from that, we are just with computer vision, like the little piece of demo that I shared with you. It's still work in progress right now. I'm quite happy that we have came a pretty long way with it in the past year. But it's still something that we are currently investing a lot of time and our own resource into right now. So if there are any other companies out there that are 100% utilizing just this technology to collect data, man, I'm happy for that progress in terms of innovation for the industry as a whole. But as for us, we're right there too. But like I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the pragmatic uses of the data and what our customers want. So yeah.
Well, I'm gonna try something new here.
Yeah.
So can you just like walk us through what's happening right now?
Well, so what computer vision does is that it breaks down the video by the frames. And there is a long process involved where we had to, so to speak, train the AI to recognize the different actions by lots of repetition. So this is a process that took a long time, and it actually took a lot of footages for us to, feed the program. And there's a lot of annotation involved by our data specialists, because it's such a complex sport, so, in this part of the footage, it's something more simple. We're just trying to teach the program in MMA to identify the different positions and the different stands. And the earlier clip that you saw and the one that's coming up next, it's more for Muay Thai and kickboxing, where, I also identifying, the elbows and the knees and the kicks and the punches for both fighters as well. So it's a really tedious and resource intensive process for us. But we started on this journey and it's really exciting. We're pushing new grounds right now all the time, and so we're just gonna keep on doing this. But what we unable to share with you right now with using video demos from what we've done is that we're also working with partners in the chip industry where we would like to also combine the use of wearable sensors with computer vision to be able to track stuff like the speed of strike and the impact force of the strike or the potential impact if it misses, right?
Hmm.
So these are all, really novelty data points that we know could make the sport come alive in many more ways for the consumers. Um, so uh, we're just hoping that the opportunity comes where there are promoters and customers out there that are willing to take this on with us,
Mm.
so that we can really push the boundaries on technology and in this space right now, which is an exciting time.
Recording, cool. Hey, that worked great. I think that's gonna show up pretty well. Luckily, so
Right.
thanks for being my experiment there. Well, I mean, you have all of this real time tracking you're doing, and the combat sports industry has historically relied on exclusive accessibility to that data. And I know you mentioned Fight Metrics. Obviously, they're one. But how has FightGeek bridged that gap and democratized that data availability for these combat sports organizations?
Yeah. Well, you see, we have this mission. We're on this mission right now. Ever since we started to kind of, seems unattainable. That's why it's called a mission, right? But when we started out, we really want to try to push this entire industry into how, how other modern day sports are doing it. I mean, just take a look at like the recent Tokyo Olympics, the last Olympics, right? I mean, even track and field has advanced statistics right now, and when you see any kind of combat sports, and all you see are just timer and and how the judges score each round, so we wanted to make this really available and accessible to any promotions. They could be professional league or amateur league or just exhibition bout. As long as you organize competitions and you're streaming it or broadcasting it to the public, we want to make this technology available. So we built a platform where it's essentially a data collection and data storage and syndication tool, right? And we make it explicitly clear in the beginning to our customers that whatever data that you collect, the IP belongs to you, right? And then we just see ourselves as the custodians of the data, keeping it safe, compiling it and reporting it efficiently to them, and supporting them whenever they want to syndicate that data to a third party partner, sports betting company or media company that wants to license their data. So, it's about giving the promotions full control of the data that they own, right?
Mm.
And so, and, you know, because everybody subscribes to the platform, so we can kind of spread the cost out amongst all our customers, instead of them taking the high road and wanting to build something for themselves, which might cost them millions of dollars and years of working with developers to do this. We have something that's ready made, and it caters to multiple martial arts disciplines and rules. So yeah, it's about making this really easy for them to just decide that, okay, if I want to start implementing data, I can just subscribe and go, and then the FightGeek team will be there to support them.
Mm.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, so you guys are essentially a business to business software as a service platform, but it also sounds like you're really almost like the nerve center for these promotions. Can you talk a little bit about how the data is actually being implemented by the people that are using the software today?
Yeah, so a lot of times when new customers come on board, right, they, they don't see beyond just like, oh, can you get me the numbers in between rounds to go on screen in my production, right? So of course the platform can do that. We can connect with graphic systems, most graphic systems out there through an API, and then they can pull the data out from our database and feed it into the graphic system. But there are these little things that we've done in the platform as well. Like, we've created, the tools for them to use, analytical tools, right? Like, for example, if they want to compare the historical data of two fighters that are, the matchmakers want to match up, or their marketing guys want, ammunition for their marketing and promoting of the fight. You could do that. You could just pull up two fighters and then compare their stats, and then all the tools are there. We have also rankings by statistics, like who's the most accurate striker by gender, by division, and yeah, and also guides for them to design their infographics as well, like what kind of data points should you group together to when you're analyzing a certain type of fight. If the fight goes this way, you use this template. And something new that we've also incorporated is the ability for you to just print out the stat sheets immediately after bouts as well. So when we designed this thing, like I said, we looked at how Major League Sports use data, right? So let me just go back to the NBA again. Like, after a playoff game, when the players attend the post game interview, the press conferences, do you notice that they always print a stat sheet for the players when they're sitting at the table, and then when they're fired by, I mean, when questions get fired, and then they have to reference how they perform, how their opponents perform, right? It's all there available for them. It's so ingrained in the ecosystem of the sport, right? So this is the vision of what we want combat sports to be, down the road. And the impact that we're trying to deliver is just, one source, for your data. You, all the employees of your organization could have a login account, and you have 24/7 access to the stats at all times, right? And all you need is just connectivity and a stable network, and then our tools will work. So um, this is the future for combat sports, and and I think that I'm happy that more and more promotions out there are seeing this right now, and that's why our customer list is growing as well. So yeah.
Well, you touched on a really important fact, which I think a lot of people kind of remove from these equations, and how data can also help the fighters and the combat sports athletes themselves. Is this something that can be leveraged by the athletes for like training or their kind of own uses outside of the actual event?
Well, I think it's a process. What we are doing, we're mostly working with the competition organizers, and the event owners, right, the promoters. But on the athletes level, well, it's about understanding uh, the data models that are out there in the first place, right? And it's not a lot of in-depth information for them at this point, but still, any knowledge is better than none. When you're competing at the highest levels, any kind of advantage that you can have over your opponents, it's valuable, right? So we haven't actually seen that in terms of the fighters engaging with the data that way yet. But we have seen some coaches that have, asked us for data, and and the main things that they're looking out for are like, okay, how many strikes does the opponent, attempt on average, per round? And they're looking for like, oh, does the output actually go down through the rounds, and things like that. They're analyzing their opponents that way. So they can be better prepared to train for those kinds of intensity in the fight. So but to answer your question, more specifically, we see that more happening more so in the sensors, realm, wearable sensors, because we're working with a couple of companies out there that has this technology, and they have their consumer products as well, where they could let their fighters wear it, and then they can train with it, and it monitors their output and their growth. So the tech is already out there. What we do, just providing league data and competition performance data, I think it will become more prevalent down the road. We're still at a very early stage of like combat sports embracing this ideology, this concept of uh, using data as a keen part of the ecosystem of the sport right now. So,
Well, you mentioned competitor from a combat athlete point of view, and without naming any names, how does FightGeek distinguish itself from other players that are in this market?
um, well, we we are in a very niche business. There aren't that many of us out there, and we do take a look sometimes at what our competition is doing, and sometimes we see them do great work, and we admire that. So in this space right now, I would say any kind of breakthrough from us or from our competitors is really just pushing the entire industry in the right direction. And so that is something that we are happy about, because combat sports is growing. It really is, and we are just one company, and we have like customers from 8 countries. So and more are talking to us. We're opening up new markets all the time. So there is enough out there to share for everyone, I believe. But at the same time, I I feel like what really sets us apart from our competition is that, like I said earlier, we take a multi-source approach, right? Because some of these other guys, they're like, oh, we're sensors, so I'm 100% in this methodology of collecting data. And then some of them are like, okay, we're using AI, we're using computer vision, and then they go all in on that, right? So for us, it's like, oh, whatever works. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's what our customers want, and it's about delivering what our customers need for their business. So yeah, that's perhaps how we see ourselves as different from the rest, and also from what I have learned over my time working in this industry is that we realize that a lot of what we do for the customers is also onboarding them, right, and helping them understand that it's not just a one-off thing every event, right? What are you going to do with the data afterwards, right? You have to compile them, and then there's so much more that you can do. How do you monetize the data afterwards? So we would advise our customers, and we've seen some of them actually successfully find sponsors for analytic sports that comes on screens in the infographics. And some of these promotions are working with betting companies that wants the data, and will advise them to license the data instead of just giving it away freely. So things like these that are happening all the time, and we're learning as well. So I would say that it's a very dynamic business at this point, and it's expanding in ways that we don't expect sometimes. So um, yeah.
Yeah, well, technology is its own beast, anyways, and you guys are definitely taking a look at it from the right way. And how is this helping? How is this helping our customers? How is this helping the industry? How is it helping everyone in a whole? And I love that, Jeremy. For everyone who's listening or watching this or reading in the newsletter, how can they find more about you and the brand and everything that FightGeek is doing?
Well, just get in touch with us through our LinkedIn page, or you could, visit our website, fightgeek.co, and drop us a message over there, and we will respond. So, yeah, that's the easiest way to get in touch with us. That's how you got in touch with me, right? So,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I get in touch with a lot of people,
that's
but
right.
it's my favorite platforms, and I'm always pushing people to get on LinkedIn, particularly the athletes as well. Well, hey, I really appreciate you staying a late night. I know you just got the kids to bed, and so I'll let you get to bed soon. Thank you so much for being here today, Jeremy, and looking forward to watching you guys continue to grow.
Thank you, Ryan. You're doing a great job, by the way. Right,
Oh,
looking
thank
forward
you
to
so
your
much.
podcast all the time.
I
Right,
really appreciate that. You have a great day.
right. See ya.